Every spring, I love to just do a deep clean of my wardrobe. I love to go take out the things I haven't worn in years, put them in a bag, donate them. This, of course, requires that I go shopping. Do you have a similar experience as me? And I'm sure you do. When you walk into the dressing room and you are putting on your clothes, oh my word, the light, the overhead light. You get to see every single thing in that light. Listen, this is Anne Marie, host of About This Life. It is a show where we take a look at our mindsets and take a look and have conversations with our guests. In these conversations, we think about things that we need to let go, things we need to adapt or change to thrive, to be our best selves. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming back a friend of mine, my guest, Jacqui Johnson. Hi, Jacqui.
Hi, Anne Marie. Oh my goodness.
Oh my
Those
goodness.
poems.
It's been a minute. And Jacqui, I know you are a retired fashion designer. And
Yes.
beautiful fashion you have, especially this past holiday season. So maybe we won't let that go all the way because you make some beautiful things and beautiful color combinations. But in this new chapter of your life, you are an entrepreneur. You are the creator of the magnificent body experience. When I tell you, woo, that it makes a difference. So let's get started, Jacqui. I have questions, you have questions, let's talk.
Yes,
Jacqui,
I do.
I rarely ever run into a woman who is perfectly happy with her body. There is always something on our bodies that we say we want to fix. It could be the chin, it could be our girls, our belly. As though having babies isn't a miracle in of itself, but we get upset with our bellies and all the things that sag and so on and so forth. Have
Tell
you
me
run
about
into
it.
women like that? Have women shared their stories?
I could write a book about that. And actually I am, I have run into hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of women
Yes.
like that. And is it okay to give you the backstory of how of how I met all
Absolutely.
those women? Like you said, I've been a fashion designer. I'm retired, but that was for 34 years. And in those 34 years, I met everybody and their grandmother. Every kind of woman, young, old, tall, short, name it, I met them. But this is it. Whenever I get a new client coming, and I start talking to them as an icebreaker. We like talking about ourselves, right? Human
Yes.
beings. So as an icebreaker, I ask them, so what do you like? What kind of things do you like? And I wanted, I want them to start talking, and I also want to know a little bit about their taste and all of that.
Hmm.
Based on what I know, if I look at you, technically I can tell what kind of silhouettes would look good on you and all of that. But I normally like to get their insights first before we start going. And so when I ask them, normally I'm expecting, oh, I like V-necks and I like this
Hmm.
kind of sleeve and all of that. But let me tell you what happens. The first thing anybody tells me is, oh, I don't like sleeveless. I don't like X because of Y. I don't like sleeveless because my arms are too big, or they're too bulky, or they are too skinny, or they are too saggy, and it goes on and on and on and on. And over 30 years, I started to create a column for the I don't likes and I hates. And when they finish, I'm like in my head, these women are answering a question I didn't ask. And that said a lot of us as women. I'm
Yeah.
asking, what do you like in terms of style, in terms of silhouette, fit, flare, loose, fitted? And they are telling me what they hate about their bodies.
And I could tell you, for me, the experience was, why do I hate my body? It's because somewhere along the line, somebody ridiculed or made fun of, or this is the space where rejection takes up because you've been rejected. And so you see what is out there and you go, if only I did this, if only I did that. So it's something deep and it's buried inside of us. We don't even realize our why. We just realize we hate our different parts of ourselves, but we don't even realize the whys. What did you find out about the why?
Oh gosh, I took a journey back, and recently, for the first time in my life, in my mid 50s, I started a blog. I started a blog about 3 weeks ago, and I went on that journey. And I'll tell you what, it took me a while to realize what had happened. When I was a little girl, I grew up in Ghana. I'm Ghanaian by heritage, and I live in the
Hello.
UK anyway. And when I grew up in Ghana, I come from a culture where we commentate. We say anything and everything without thinking of the feeling behind it. And people don't mean any harm. But I grew up with people telling me, like, oh my gosh, look at those skinny legs. Be careful you don't jump too high. You might break into pieces and look at your legs like cassava sticks. And my mom ran her business. My mom was also a fashion designer. She went to Paris Academy and she ran her business from home. She had a studio at home. And so I have all these aunties floating in every day with their
Hmm.
drivers, and everybody would go, Jacqui, how are you? And the next thing that will come, you're so skinny, don't you eat? And they mean no
Some meat on
harm.
your bones. That's what they would
And
say.
everybody and their driver got in on the act. And it used to sting when people said, I remember one time, my mom was light skinned, much lighter than me. I'm darker. And one time I remember a driver who had come with one of the ladies asked for some coconut water. We had coconut trees there and they pluck a lot. So said, oh, can I have some of the coconut? So I asked our help who was doing that, served him the coconut water. And then he goes, is that Madame your mother? I said, yes. Oh, and in, pidgin English, you don't look like her at all. Why? You make
Oh,
black. And
oh,
I see your body. And I was I think I was less than 7. I was less than 7 years old. And
wow.
that cut deep, like I was not enough. I wasn't beautiful enough. My mom is voluptuous, she's curvy, and but I'm a little girl. And when I look back, those things stuck with me. And it got to a point as a little girl,
Mm,
I prayed to be fat because I felt fat was beautiful. And when I use the word fat, it's intentional. It's not it's not as a slur. It is intentional. I felt like I had to have, a lot of weight on me to be accepted, to be loved. And so I prayed, and that weight came when I was about 30 something. And it came so quickly, 32. As I had my kids, the weight came on so quickly. I think,
yes.
when they say God answers prayers,
Be careful what you ask for. That's the
He
other part of
answered
it.
the little girl's prayer some nearly 25 years later. And so it came. And within a matter of 6 years, when I had my children, I started the hate journey all over again
Mm,
because I was stuck between I'm not enough and I'm too much. I came into I'm not enough and I wanted to gain the weight, and then the weight came and now I'm too much. Because once again, I have this kind of community here. I go back home and people are like, what happened to
yeah.
you? Because they knew me as
Yes.
a very slim one. And I never appreciated that slim figure. I never did.
Isn't it funny that whatever stage you find yourself in, you don't see you being the collective you, or I could say you or we don't see the beauty in that stage. A real life example of that is like my hair. I used to have locks, just as you did. And
Mhm.
one day I made a decision to cut my locks about 3 years ago. My hair has been red, blonde, it has been cut. It has all these different kinds. I've had crochet hairs, braids, extensions. I had a different hairstyle every month. And I said to myself, what is going on with me? And I realized I'm trying to find myself. I'm trying to find what I maintain as beautiful. I
Mhm.
stopped dyeing my hair only because, and this is how God works in terms of nature, literally, when my hair would be dyed, 2 weeks later, of course, your hair grows. The gray is showing again. I couldn't keep up and it was expensive. And so when I let it out, the reality I had to come to was being a person who's getting older, aging. And Jacqui, so you and I met about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer. And when you introduced and said you're doing this magnificent body, and I said, yes, that's me. I need that because I need to stop running from who I naturally appear as, who I show up as.
And
And
can I
mercy.
interrupt for a moment?
Yes,
You
yes.
show up so beautifully and so gracefully. Look at that skin and look at that gray hair against the skin. Look at you. And when you tell me that you've turned 60, I'm like, black people
Yes.
don't crack.
Yes, let me tell you. And I was living in a stage of fear because people perceive you. I didn't want people to perceive me as an old person. I didn't want them to perceive, because then they think, oh, she's not capable and she's not this and she's not that. And then I said, why am I so concerned about what people think? I had to let go that limiting belief. And as part of my journey, it brought me to you because I wanted to experience what it is to love my body in whatever condition it is. So talk about that a little bit more. What is it about?
So when I created it because I I knew what it feels to live in a body that you never fully befriended.
Mm,
And when I think it's a God thing because I started having these deep reflections um, when I started doing a master's in applied positive psychology and coaching psychology, and they were big on reflecting. And
hmm
I knew, and going back, I remember women spoke, they poured their hearts to me, and it ate a lot of my working time. And I remember my mom telling me that I think you have to be a counselor or a therapist or something. I didn't even really understand fully what it was, but I laughed because
uh,
50% of my time went to really like seeing them and styling them and doing all of that. And the other
yeah.
50 was the tears and the joys and they told me their hopes, their dreams, their deepest, darkest secrets, and they share their insecurities. And I think there's something about when a woman strips in front of you, as in physically, they can
hmm
also strip their soul to you. And so when all of that started happening, I think I would say this thing called me. Coaching called me. This thing called me before I knew.
Yes.
God had this
Yes.
idea. So when I started thinking about my own situation, when Instagram started, it changed the fashion business. What happened was overnight, one regular designer could show their clothes to the world. The whole middle part of from you being a designer to having to do the show and get models and take pictures, were all out. suddenly designers were like wearing their own clothes and taking pictures and putting it online, and their businesses blew up. And I
Yeah.
stood on the sidelines and watched. And people were asking me, why don't you do that? And I couldn't. The thought of putting my body out there on display, who
Yeah.
am I? Because I've been shooted on all my life. You should look like this and you should look like that. So although I was creating all these things for women,
Mm-hmm.
I was a I had my so much body insecurities. So I dare not stand there and say, I made this lovely thing. Look at me. That was one of the things. The second thing was that I realized in reflection that I spent my entire life knowing what it is and hearing all that the women were saying. I spent my entire life creating fashion for me was a way of accepting or helping other people to accept their bodies. My mission was to make them look lovely, enhance their good parts, and camouflage their bad parts. And so I spend my life, complimenting them when they are fitting and telling
Mm-hmm.
them. And I change people's perspective about what they are, what they look like. And I had people Monday morning when they're going to work, they would stop by and say, thank you. I was the belle of the ball.
Yes.
I had people dropping me, bottles of wine and saying, you made me, I just look so radiant this weekend and I'm feeling like a new woman. And so that started much earlier and I saw the transformation. And now here I am coming to the end of that journey. And I was thinking, how do I still make a difference? And I believe, it was just a God thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I started doing this and treating myself. And I realized that when you deal with your body from a place of love, nothing is off limits because this is what happens. Realize when you love somebody, you do anything for that person. So
Yes.
exercise is not, I have to work out. It's, I've got to do this thing for this thing that's my home, this thing that carries me, this thing that has served me, this thing that is my sovereign foundation, is the only way that I exist in this world. And even when you're eating because you love it. You're eating for longevity, And I started thinking about all these things that it changes because now, through my magnificent body experience, I'm able to tell to
Mm-hmm.
when they go through that experience, it's a loving relationship. It's a relationship of
Yes.
honoring the body, honoring this home. And one thing I want to add was I got this moment, this idea that imagine waking up and this body that we despise and we talk at and we say all these things. Imagine
Mm-hmm.
waking up and it can't get up and it's
Mm-hmm.
not. Imagine your body being angry for the way you spoke to it or the way you've been
Mm-hmm.
speaking to it and said, no, I'm not getting up. Which of us can say, Spirit, go to work for me? Or
I would say
Spirit, go
I
and
don't have
shower?
to imagine. I've done that.
Spirit, go to work for me. Spirit, go and shower my children for me. No, we can't. We need this. And the way we talk to this body, we don't talk to any of our friends that we love like that. And so this whole mission is as I did because I'm guilty. I've done that so much. I look at my face and all of
Been there,
that.
done that, got the t-shirt. Probably the first thing I'm proud of myself and what I did years ago was to let go the comparison. So I stopped comparing myself to what I think in my mind, what I imagine is the perfect body. When I would walk down the street and you see women walking and they're wearing power suits or their leisure wear, and I would say, "Ooh, she looks wonderful. She looks beautiful." And so I stopped comparing myself in that process. So it's not always all at once because even though I stopped comparing myself, what was still left over was the idea that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't shapely enough, And here's the other thing that I understand about the business world. that how you dress impacts how you feel. And when you feel, I'm going to use the term badassery. I know that's a curse word, but it fits. When you feel, woo, like you all that in a bag of chips, there's a
Yes.
way that you sashay down the street. Come on, my listening audience. You know it. You know the walk. When you walk in and you wearing that clothing that you, oh my goodness, and you know that you look good. There's a way that you walk into the room. And I said, how can I get more of that feeling? And so with the magnificent body, what part would you like me to tell you about?
Anne Marie, this is my turn to throw
Yeah,
the question to
ask me
you.
some
Yeah.
questions because I went through
You
it.
went through it. Thank you. And first of all, I just want to thank you for all that affirmation because when you went through it without me even asking you for a testimonial or anything, you gave me a you just told me how amazing it made you feel. And I couldn't wait every day to read, your
Yes,
reflections. So thank you for that. Because you were the first cohort, so you really,
yes,
yes,
thank you.
inspired me. So let me ask you this question.
Okay,
You,
okay.
when you listened, the very first letter that I sent to you and said it was a gift, the audio letter, when you listened to Dear Body, um, how did it make you feel? Or would you want me to read it to you again? Or it's
Yes, read it to me again and then I
at the
can
time,
answer.
let me read it to you.
Yes, go ahead. Let's give our audience a taste.
Just bear with me for a moment
Oh, absolutely.
because I'll say I just want to know how it made you feel. So here, and this was the first letter I wrote to myself, to my body, and because I'd been through all the emotions. And before I even go on, you said something about how you should look, and
Hmm.
I wanted to say something about that there's so much subliminal messaging from the media of how we should
Yes.
look that we forget that the body and the body parts have functions. Your nose is supposed to look a certain way, but guess what? What does it do? What is the nose meant to do? It's meant to breathe, take oxygen, take air in,
Mhm.
and it goes through the nostrils, purify it, and it feeds your body, gets into the lungs, and that's why we live. The aesthetics is the icing on the cake.
Yes.
And we forget that this is what it's supposed to do. And then I hate my nose, I hate my nose, and I don't like my nose. And I'm thinking, what if it wasn't there? What if it was just a hole? Or what if it stopped working? Yeah, you hate me. I'm not going to work anyway.
Hmm.
I went through all of that with myself and I finally wrote this letter. So let me remind you because it's been a while.
Okay.
I'm reading it from my phone. Dear body, where do I even begin? I've been meaning to have this chat with you for a while now, and I think it's long overdue. First off, I want to say a massive thank you for everything you do for me, day in and day out. I mean, seriously, you're
Hmm.
incredible. Let's start with the basics. And if you want to stop me at a point, please do. If you want to say something, let's start with the basics. You keep my heart beating, my lungs breathing, and my brain thinking without me even having to ask. How cool is that? And don't even get me started on how you fight off germs and heal cuts and bruises. You are like my personal superhero, always on duty. But you know what really blows my mind? The intricate behind the scenes work that you do that I rarely think about, like how my digestive system breaks down food into tiny molecules.
Okay, I want to stop you there. Okay, because I have a story for you, and that is um awakening. And since we're talking and we're talking about our bodies, this is okay. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we think our behinds, our bottoms, our booties are just there for aesthetics, you know, and we have all different shapes in the spectrum that goes with that. Who knew? You know, it wasn't until, you know, a couple years ago that when I think about the venous system, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a major vein that goes through down your spinal cord
Mm-hmm.
and the sciatica nerves
Mm-hmm.
that goes through your lower limbs,
Mm-hmm.
they come to a specific point in your butt.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that relevant? Because some of us, we have hip pain, especially if we sit a lot during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, why is my butt hurting? And so when I would go to the doctor to get checked out for other things, they're explaining to me how the veins in my body work.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a hub back there. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you mean to tell me that, you know, it's been taking care of me all of these years?
Can
And
you
I'm
imagine?
like, yes.
Booty
Yeah.
care.
So your question is, how did it feel? I could answer that question in a number of ways. First off, receiving your voicemail, your voice, it had, um, there's a special sensuality to it. And I use that term because listening to it, it helped me internalize the sensuality to my own body.
Mm.
So I'm no longer coming from a place of I hate what I look like. I'm coming from that place of love. And I'm coming
Mm.
from my feminine side, my
Mm.
soft side. And I'm
Mm.
coming from it's okay for me to be sensual. So in my headspace, this became the way that I started to speak to myself. And at the time, it didn't hurt that Mary J. Blige came out with her video, Good Morning Gorgeous. So,
Oh my goodness. And that's the prompt number one. Good morning, gorgeous. That's
Morning
the day one.
Gorgeous. And I'm like, okay, Mary J. So I would sit in front of the mirror, I listened to the prompt, and then I would put that song on and I would speak to my body, Good morning, gorgeous. And it made me feel, it changed the way that I look and thought about my body. And I'll give you another example is, you know, the belly fat. And we're always trying to strengthen our abs, and we should, because our abs, the core holds up the entire body in terms of keeping our structure and our shoulders back and so on and so forth. It's important to do so. But if I never lose this inch of circumference, really 2 inches, if I never lose it, it is with the understanding that, good God, woman, you gave birth to 2 children. And that is a most glorious use and miracle in terms of giving birth. And so, why would you be upset because you have the fruit, you have your children alive who are a reflection of what your body did?
Mhm.
And so, instead of hating that, why not celebrate that? Why not celebrate that? Um, so, yeah, it was the voice, it was the fact that I could change the way I talk to myself. And it was also because it was short. These are things that I was doing anyway. And so it was just now I had a focal point
Mm.
um, to set my intention.
Thank you so much. It's
My
lovely to hear
pleasure.
that. I think I should interview. I should
Yeah.
interview the first cohort, every one of the first cohort members.
Yes. And
Yeah.
that brings up another point, Jacqui, that the cohort, you asked us to share
Hmm.
each day that we're doing this
Hmm.
and to read the reactions of the other women in the cohort. It
Hmm.
also provided us with community and it gave us, um, it brought us together in an organic way.
Hmm.
So that's how I would answer the question.
Thank you so much. I felt like this journey should never be done solo. Maybe there might be some people who want to do it alone, but the community does something. And you see different perspectives and you see the stories that people's bodies have been through
Mhm.
and their lives seep through. And you start affirming each other and say, oh, I went
Yes.
through this too. And I thought it was just me, and so I think that's so lovely. Um,
But here's the movement. Here's the movement with this. You then have a collection of stories of how women are redefining beauty.
mhm,
And then it becomes a light for other women. Oh, that woman with the scars, she sees herself as beautiful. And so when I look in the mirror, I can see myself as beautiful. That woman with the arms, you mentioned that, or the woman who, um, you know, she's just been through a lot and not thinking much of herself, and she sees somebody else who looks like her, and that person thinks they look beautiful. We are redefining beauty when you bring this to us. So how can we share this with other people? Let's talk about it.
So, when we had this conversation that I would come here, I thought, what's the best way? First of all, my magnificent body is coming. It's global now. The website is nearly ready. We're off to to share this beautiful gift with the world. But when you when we talked about me coming here, I created a mini version, a little gift,
Mm,
and it's a letter from my body, and it's a mini version of this 10-day experience that you could sit down and do in an hour, and it's beautiful, but it's an
yes.
introduction into this world, because you know what, this thing that I created is it's a journaling, is a guided journaling experience. And what I do is to hold a mirror for you to see your
Yes.
magnificent self, so that you want to build a new kind of relationship with your body, one that's based on reverence and honor rather than rules,
Mm.
one that acknowledges that this relationship we have here is a sovereign foundation and can never be separated. Nothing can change the fact that it doesn't matter whatever you do on the outside surgery, it can't change the fact that me, Jacqui, or you, Anne Marie, came into the world through that body, and I came into the world through this body too. It's a sovereign foundation. And so getting to honor this thing that we
Mhm.
can't separate from, this thing that is serving us and is not going to depart. It works for us. The body has survival, it has this desire to survive, survival instincts, and is never departing until the end, developing this
Mhm.
relationship of reverence and honor, not rules, of love and passion, not performance.
Yes.
It's about presence, it's about friendship, it's about emotional healing and honor. And so I just Um, I just thought I'll give you a link, a snippet of it so that people will just
Yes.
enjoy this thing. And if they feel it's for them, then maybe they can join the main one. But if they don't even want to come, this is my gift. And I think it's become my life's work. It's become my mission. And when I look back, the 34 years of talking to these women and doing
Mhm.
all of that, with the best will in the world, I won't be able to know that this is what is going to happen. But I believe God, in His infinite wisdom, has a way of weaving the tapestry of our lives in a way with people, with situations, with circumstances. And if we stop a little and pause to listen, He'll take us to that place where we can live a life of meaning and contribution. And I think that is mine. So
Amen, sister. You had me at love and not performance. You had me at love because, as a woman, we do the things. We take care of our parents. We take care of our children. We take care of the home. We go to work. We are taking care of the world. And so when you say love and not performance, that
Mm.
that is a mindset shift. That is changing things. So I thank you for that gift. And
It
and here's
is.
yeah, and
And
here's
and
my idea. Go
you
ahead.
know what also, if you do this thing well, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things shift because you know what? Now, the honor that you give to your body means you even curate the people in your circles because
Yes.
you're not going to be in places where you have to walk on eggshells, and you're not going to be in places where the words that people speak, are daggers into your body because the body keeps score. And so somehow there's this awakening that I need to stop being in places where it's going to cause cortisol to swell in my body. I need to
Mm-hmm.
stop being in places where I'll be made to feel this small. And I need to expand. And so for every lady out there, figuratively speaking, I'm sitting in the front seat
Mm.
watching the expansion of your life as you take this thing and you try it. I'd like to know, you know, what's going on in your life and how you're feeling, how you're experiencing this. Because we've been told too much how we should be and how we should move and the messaging from Hollywood, from the media, from here and there. And I remember Lavia Jai Jones saying something that we were not created to chameleon our way through life to the
Mm.
point that we forget our colors. And I want to
Mm.
add that we were created to shine, to expand, to be the best version of ourselves in the sense that we are created to live in divine self-expression. And,
Yes.
and when we do that, every part of us will come into use. Our skills and talents, our innate gifts and abilities, our values, our voice, our pain, our challenges, the things that we've gone through, our, our imagination, our intuition, the God voice in us, every part of us will be used if we learn to lean into our own divine self expression. And so that's a whole different thing.
Yes. And um I think about God,
Mhm.
and in the book Isaiah 61:3, beauty for ashes. And so
Mm,
we can take all
mm,
of the destructive experiences
hmm.
and we can reclaim them and reframe them.
Ooh, I like
Re-
that. Boss. The poet is
reclaim
out.
and reframe. Yes, because the idea is it can seem daunting. You know you want to change your life, but you don't know exactly why. This sets an intentionality. It gives you a place to start because once you start speaking to your body in a different way, all the other things will flow as you just described. And I
True,
think,
true.
yeah, all the other things will flow. And I think this is a beautiful experience that I want to encourage our listeners. I think of opportunities like Mother's Day, for example, that is coming up.
Mm. Oh,
Wouldn't
we've
it
had
be
ours already,
beautiful?
right? Oh, we've
Ours
had
is
our
in
mother's.
May. Yeah.
Okay.
Our
Okay.
Mother's Day here in the States, stateside, is
Mhm.
in May. And that is an experience. It's a gift that you can do with your mother. Or perhaps you're the mom and you want to do it with your daughter.
Mm.
If that neither one of those situations work, for example, me, my mother has passed on to glory, and I had sons, not daughters. With your bestie, with
Mm.
your sister circle.
Yeah, I
Why
think
not
it's done
do
best with people, with friends. It's lovely. Even though when you
Yes,
get into the group, you meet other women. It's so
yes.
nice when you have a friend and then you say, how do you feel about that? I did it the first time. It was a lonely journey for me, but it was first and it felt like I was a bit crazy talking to myself. But like you're saying, when you do it with some, I loved doing it with you ladies when we you did the first cohort. I
Yes,
enjoyed it so much.
yes. It
Yes.
was amazing. So it can actually, the gift that you're giving me for this podcast about this life, I
Hmm.
in turn would working with you,
Hmm.
partnering with you, would
Hmm.
love to gift it to the audience that, hey, can we get a discount if more than one person signs up?
Yes, 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 you can. So what I'm doing now at the moment is that when I speak anywhere, I like to give. Okay, so it's actually, first of all, let me separate this. I have a freebie, a taster for you, for your
Hmm.
audience. It's
Okay.
called, yes, it's called A Letter from Your Body Experience. So that's the taster is separate. I created, when you said you were inviting me, I created this separately. So that's a different thing. But if they try that and they like it, what I can do is it's $150 for the
Hmm.
whole program. But if two people take it, it'll be $200 for your listener.
Yes. That
Yes.
is an amazing deal. So you can get your friend, get your mom, get your daughter, bring
Cousins, sister
cousins.
friends.
And how about this? Your mom has friends. I'm talking
Mhm.
to the men who listen to, your mom has friends, and you try to figure out what to buy your mom for Mother's Day.
Mhm.
And your mom has everything by now. She probably has everything that she could possibly want. And you try to figure out what to give mom. Well, once you give mom this gift and her best friend, what an amazing gift that would be, and you will receive a discount too. So that is an amazing deal. I just think that's beautiful. So you'll provide us the links, and we'll include the links in the show notes so
Yes,
that
I will.
everybody will have access.
Yes.
So can't wait. Can't wait for everybody to experience this. And what I also love about it is in the international focus.
Flavor on
So
it.
we going there. We
Yes.
are reaching
And
communities everywhere.
also the cohorts are not too big. It doesn't matter how many people enroll. I put people in cohorts so that it's not like the whole world is in there and you're sharing your stuff, but they are in, cohorts, groups. Yeah. So it's not, you just
They're
know
in
that it
cohorts.
still feels, yeah, very safe, like your group.
Yes,
You know
we were
how,
about
yeah.
what, 2015, about
Right.
15.
Yes, you were 22.
Okay.
Yes,
So
for your
about
group.
20.
About
So
20,
it's
yes.
it's small enough so you can share.
Yeah.
So here's my advice. People need to sign up quickly because otherwise there's a waiting list. We will get you in there, but there will be a waiting list after
Oh, yeah,
this.
I normally ask people to just join the wait list and then we just do it and put people in together. But Anne
Okay,
Marie, I want to say something. I know it's nearly time for your podcast to wrap up, but I want to ask you a question. And I know you're not
sure.
ready. I don't think you expected me to ask you. Tell me how your bath time is now after you did my magnificent body because there's one prompt called the shower of love. That's
Uh-huh.
all I'm sharing. How is your bath time now?
My bath time. Well, I separated my mind, the bath from the shower. So I'm going to speak about the shower experience.
Yeah, the shower.
And then in terms of the shower experience, I actually went online and I ordered from somewhere, I don't even remember where, a eucalyptus plant. Like the live
Hmm.
branches and what have you. And
Hmm.
I put that in the shower. And then I'm a person who loves to listen to jazz.
Hmm.
When I tell you I lathered up myself, I honored my body because it was came through the senses, the sense of scent, hearing the music, being able to say affirmations, things like I love you, that you're important, you're beautiful, to be able to say those things to myself. And also, everybody should realize that water is significant no matter what you do. There's
Ooh.
water in the baptism of our Lord and Savior Jesus, but
Ooh.
water washes you. And by the way, if you ever go to a movie, notice how they use water because water usually changes the character. But anyway, coming back to this experience, water cleanses you and it's something that transforms you. So the presence of water is important as opposed to, anything else, sitting on the couch and listening or something like that.
Mm.
Water and to feel it on your body, and it just felt natural. So I love that.
You know why I'm asking? Because ever since I created this and went through my shower time has transformed. It's
Yes.
it's it's worship and honor
Hmm.
and everything. I mean, as in worshiping God, because when I
Hmm.
follow the prompts, I start from my face and I come down, and it's so beautiful. But then when I was doing the research for this, I have it's underpinned by faith and positive psychology. So when I
Uh-huh.
was doing the research for this and for this thing, I realized that there's something, the negative ions in water is is the miracle thing that people water is soothing apart from cleansing. People get amazing ideas when they sit by water. When you're
Yes.
showering, do you know how when you're showering you get these you know you get these moments
Creative.
when something happens and you were looking for a solution to things, and so many people in history have said that discoveries were made in the shower and in water.
Yes. Or
Yes,
near
so
a body of water. And also
yeah.
our bodies,
Mm.
Jackie. Our bodies are made up of so much water.
Yep.
I don't know the percentage. I'm not a scientist.
I think it's
What I
over
do know,
70%. I think over
yeah,
70. Yeah.
that's a significant amount in terms of what our
Yep.
bodies are made up of in terms of
Yeah, I'm
water.
not sure of the number, but I know it's more than 70. Yeah.
Yeah, so it has to do with our internal body and having the external um, feeling of water on your body that all comes together in a divine way. So, Jackie A.
Mm.
Johnson, I would love to thank you for being my guest today. I would love to thank you for offering my audience this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful gift. And ladies, please sign up for my magnificent body experience. Tell your man about it, tell your brothers and your fathers about it. that this is an opportunity to give a gift to mom or to their sisters, their aunties, and so on and so forth.
Mm.
So please, please, please just reach out and make the circle wider. The links are going to be in the show notes. Jacqui, thank you for being my guest. This is Anne
Thank
Marie,
you.
host of About This Life, where we are changing our lives one day at a time. Take care, everybody.